Good morning, everyone. We're continuing here in the words of the Horowitz, NIDCHEI YISRAEL. And now he begins to go, I think, what's the main purpose of why he wrote this sefer. He really begins to explain. V'nei be'emes, the truth is, mi sheyiras Elokim nageh belvavai, someone whose fear of Hashem touches his heart. He's living as a God-fearing Jew. Ba'mistarm tivke nafshoi, in the hidden recesses of his heart, he should be crying. Lamatzav das kadshenu, to the situation of our holy religion. Asher yared peloyim bizmanenu b'yoseh ba'aratzos v'choykos. That Nebuch in our time, says the Chavetz Chaim, thousands, tens of thousands, have left the holy places where we are living here. And they were in Europe at the time. It was insulated, it was pure. There was a real Masorah, there was a real transmission of the Torah for many generations. And they're going off to far-off lands. Asher b'avoneseinu harabim, and because of our many sins, laharbe anoshim hufker das kadshenu legamri, many of our people who have left Europe behind and traveled to the far countries of the world, they abandon the religion, the holy religion of Yiddishkeit, of Torah and mitzvahs, completely, Rachmana litzlan. The Chavetz Chaim was well aware of what was going on when people would leave Europe. They left for the golden Medina, they left to make money, they left to make parnasa, and they left their Yiddishkeit very often behind. He knew that, and he said, someone who has God-fearing person, who understands the sanctity and the eternal link in the chain that Klal Yisrael is, it must pain such a person. Ach amnam bayomim she'avru asher roiv am Yisrael shaktu v'nochum asher. In the olden days, says the Chavetz Chaim, the days that have passed, the majority of Klal Yisrael was quiet and peaceful and tranquil in their dwelling places. Kol ish v'ish v'ira ba'artza, every person in his own city, in his land. We didn't have to worry so much about the numbers of people who went and traveled around to the corners of the world. And even though that many of those people that traveled around, and they left their homeland, and they left their shtetolach, and they left their places where of spiritual comforts, it's true, they went to spiritual destruction. His arvu bagoyim, they got mixed in with the nations, and they ended up learning from their actions and became totally assimilated. Says the Chavetz Chaim, it's true. It used to be there were small numbers of people that were willing and brave enough to leave Europe behind and go off to America, go off to South America, go off to Europe, in different places, in England and in France and in Australia, as he mentioned. They would go to all of these places. And it's true they would get lost, but it was painful. No one's happy about that, says the Chavetz Chaim, but it was a relatively small percentage of the Jews that were doing such a thing. Ki al kol panim, because nevertheless, roiv binyan v'roiv minyan, the majority of Klal Yisrael, most of them were staying in their place, and they were staying in their high level of Yiddishkeit, of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ki Baruch Hashem b'medinos elu kulam yodim es Hashem. He's Baruch Hashem, he says, in these places in Europe where they were, Radin, Lithuania, Poland, Hungary, and the like, the majority of everybody, they knew the Rebbeinu Shalom. From the children to the elders. Everybody was mechabed, they honored the Torah, and they humbled themselves to do the mitzvahs, and they were moiser nefesh. They were completely give themselves over to perform the mitzvahs. Says the Chavetz Chaim, up until this point, when there was a mass exodus that was taking place from Europe, we had really not much to worry about. In general, he says, the Jews were committed. They were focused. They were dedicated to the cause of Yiddishkeit, of Torah, and of mitzvahs. It's true that there were people that were leaving, but they were small in numbers. And yes, they were lost amongst the goyim, amongst the nation they went to. It's true, and it's painful, but it was a small percentage from that which was remaining dedicated and strong and secure in their Yiddishkeit. And this is where he's going to begin to take the shift and explain to us, but today, in today's generation, it's a different story, and for that we need a sefer called NIDCHEI YISRAEL. And we'll continue Mirz Hashem next week. Have a wonderful Shabbos.